using a cycle lane around what looked like a rather large obstacle.
Gets his head down, he's in a time trialing position.
This is The Domestics, presented by Black Sheep Cycling.
Oh, well. Holy fruitcake. What the hell just happened? All hail a new queen. Welcome to the Domestiques Daily Tour de France Femmes Avec Zwift podcast, powered by Black Sheep and Join Cycling. I still haven't quite gotten my thoughts together, but I can tell you, I am Matilda Reynolds, and I've just come down from the Queen of the Mountain. I'm joined by Sarah Gigante, who was second on Le Tour Queen stage last year. She was 1:15 ahead of Vollering. Very impressive, but also 1:45 behind Pauline. Says, how was your Queen's stage day?
Oh, I had a lot of FOMO today. I definitely wished that I was out racing, so that was sad. I also had to say goodbye to my friends Jack and Dylan, so I can stop feeling good about myself by smashing them every day on my endurance ride. So a sad day all around, but made so much better by having the privilege to be a spectator this year. I mean, I'd definitely rather be racing, but if I had to pick a year to watch, wow, this was such a good year. Like, I'm absolutely having a blast following along.
And I'm also joined by almost like our co-host now. She was a smash crab yesterday, but she revived herself today. Verita Stewart, welcome back to the pod. Queen stage.
I was a shell of a human yesterday, and I was somewhat a shell of a human today. But we went to the roadside at 15 Ks to go, and we had the best time. We were just in the moment. We had no reception, so we had no idea what was going on with the race while we were there. And so it was a real surprise when we were there on the corner and the two riders kind of came around and we were like, oh, it's not what I expected. But it was just such a great day out. The spectators were like 3 deep. We were kind of 15 Ks to go, and then the kind of kilometre after that was a really straight section. And all of a sudden we turned around and it was like that you see in the men's race, and I know we get flack from comparing to the men's, but this is what we're here for. We're here for the hype. And it was so deep, full of spectators. The gendarmes were coming by on their motos, telling people to get off the road. And it was so good. And we just had the best day out. We watched all the riders go through, even the Green Lantern at the back, you know, they were there. And man, what a day. It was amazing.
Well, my day, I apologize for rushing the pod a little bit last night. I was a bit nervous about trying to fit in today as well off the back of yesterday. I was invited to a women in industry breakfast held by Zwift, but I didn't look at it till, like, you know, you can only date one day at a time here at La Tour, and I where the breakfast was on the other side of Ventoux. So I had to climb. I must be like the local legend almost of Ventoux. That's about the best my career could come to, I think, now.
Goes around it still?
No, it's just as bad to get to the other side. So I went right back up, not quite to the top, 5K from the top, and then came back down. The girls did offer their car, but I was just too nervous to have a car out there today because it's just horrific trying to get around with a car. So went back up Ventoux very early this morning. Saw Grace Brown's husband whip past me. He was doing a early raid on Ventoux, Elliot. And then, went to the breakfast, which is really, really, it was just lovely. Like just an amazing group of women there. There were a lot of, I know that people want to vomit at that word of like influencers, but content creators. But I think sometimes in Australia we can be a bit tall poppy and critical, where these women who make this incredible content. They're very, very funny. Like, it's all very, very positive for the sport, and they do a great job to get more people who may not ride or just general interest people interested in the sport. You know, we need to create fandom. There was Lizzie Diagnan was there, a woman called Coach Jackie they've brought out. If you do not follow her on Instagram, you should. She's a big women's sports reporter. She's got like 1 million followers. She does a great job. But yeah, a heap of people there. Thanks so much to Kate from Zwift. And then we all rode up to the watch party. So then rode back up the hill, and we positioned ourselves just 5 kilometers out from the very top, which was like the official Femme by Iris Chippendale for the Watch the Femme, which she started a few years ago. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I got V a bit of merch.
What's my
Yeah.
t-shirt, Jules? I should get one.
Actually, I can definitely hook you up. Actually, remind me of that. I've got a question for you on that. Yeah, and we were there for the day, you know, settling in. And this is the first time I've done something like this. Like, you've been to the Tourmalet and a few others, but this is the first time really watching a mountain stage on the roadside, men or women. And, you know, you really settle in. I think it was far less hectic on the women's side, but like compared to like, you don't have to get up there days before. So it is a lot more enjoyable. And it was just an extremely positive experience. You know, people aren't up there absolutely boozing like you saw in outdoors or anything. Like, it was just a lot of families, huge amount of women. You know, everyone was up there. And then, yeah, we saw them come through, and yeah, it was emotional. Like, I had my Aussie flag there as well. I was a bit of a, you know, idiot fan, but so excited to see Ruby and Spratty and Lucy and Macca, and it just reminds you how incredible our sport is, where to see Cassia and Demi and Marlon and everyone else then behind that still fighting for their position. Like, you can't just go sit courtside right next to Serena Williams while she wins Wimbledon. Like, it is just insane to be that close at the very pinnacle of our sport when they are at the very precipice of, you know, what their whole life is towards, like, their biggest goal, and to be like centimeters away from them, it just makes like people would, yeah, everyone was just so emotional. And because I was up on the roadside with Canyon and SRAM and Zwift, who are big sponsors of Canyon SRAM, the crowd was just berserk for what was happening.
Well, where we were positioned, we were talking to the couple kind of next to us, and they said that a few minutes earlier they had seen Kazia's parents, who apparently surprised her. She didn't know that they were going to be spectating. And so, yeah, they were just positioned a few hundred meters up the road, and it's just like, you're just in amongst it, and there's her parents just there. They're not in some VIP. They're not, you know, somewhere else. They're just on the roadside enjoying the sport. And I think that's what makes our sport really beautiful, that we can do that. And then also we can go and climb the climbs that they do. And we might not do it, you know, in 55 minutes, but, you know, it's all the same. You know, we get to see the same things and experience the same hurt. It's just at a different kind of level. And I think it's a beautiful sport.
Yeah. Well, let's try to get into it. It's been a big day. Woo! Queen's Stage, baby. We started off with some unfortunate news. Anna van der Breggen, she did not start. The cross tailwinds, they were hauling. Boy, it was windy when I was going up. 12 to 15 riders in the break, including our very own Ruby Roseman Gannon. That was the break of the day. They had 2 minutes 40 at 45 kilometers to go. Remembering we didn't have coverage from end to end. Evita Musique was struggling to hold the peloton. Voss tried to make it across to the break, but she got eaten up by the peloton. Ruby took the QOM points. Was fantastic to see Liverlula Jaco having a crack today. Lorena Wiebes is pulling in the peloton. Sometimes as a sprinter, it's easier to start the front on the climbs, and then you can move back within the peloton without getting dropped over the climb. 34 kilometers to go. The break has 1 minute. We know that the climb starts at around 20 kilometers to go. Officially, it's 15, but it's all sort of climbing up to that point for Mont Ventoux. The crowds in the towns in the lead up were 5 deep. They looked absolutely enormous. Tata de la Course, one of the final climbs before the mountain, 29 kilometers to go. The break time tumbled so quickly down. They took 40 seconds out of the break within 1 kilometer. FDJ and Movie Star lit the fuse on the peloton, and there felt like there was panic stations everywhere ricocheting. Le Mont Ventoux in the distance, towering over them. Officially, the climb starts at 15.7 kilometers. Oh, it's 15.7 kilometers long, but you're really climbing, as I said, from 20k in. Movie Star were ripping with the yellow jersey on the wheel into the base. Ruby doing her best for the breakaway to stay motivated. Domestiques in the peloton trying to get their last chance to grab a bottle for their GC. Ma Petite rider Clemence Latimiere trying to grab the most aggressive prize from the break. Ruby went for it. It was so exciting to see Ruby Rosamund Gannon leading the race into the bottom of Ventoux. 20 kilometers to go. The peloton reel Ruby back in. We hit the climb, pace slightly comes off, and Movie Star burn majority of their domestiques. Marvi Garcia crashes. Ruby's, she was cooking like she was in an air fryer, but they grabbed her back in. Puck waved the white flag. She went out the back. Visma, Movie Star, and FDJ were pulling at the front, turning the screws on the peloton. Jerry comes to the front, laps her computer just as she hits the climb and gets to work officially. Kim LaCourte let go of the bunch. There were 10 riders left at the front. World champ Mags attacks and Jerry follows. That's where you guys were. Pauline not looking great, quickly drops 20 seconds. FDJ also pulling the bunch, all in for Demi. They had multiple riders remaining and they brought everything back together. There was a strong headwind that picked up as you went up the hill. It's a reduced group back together, poised for action. Pauline showing immense respect, I thought, for the race, not giving up. She was completely off the back, but still doing all she could. All the hitters, bar Pauline and Kim LaCourte, they all had at least one rider left within that group. 13 kilometers to go. Nee Fisher-Black loses contact, and Naomi Rugg, one of the rides of the day, is still at the front with Kabul. Somehow the sprinter is incredibly all-rounded. Rue goes on the front, pulling unbelievably. Every rider is just waiting there for the fireworks. The French TV showed more of Pauline being dropped than the front of the race, but the white jersey of Antonia Niedermeyer, she got to work for Cassia. Rue pulls off, not sure how she'll get to the top of the mountain with 11 kilometers to go. Demi attacks with 10 kilometers to go. Marlon, Cassia can follow, and the top 3 in the GC rise. Demi stuck on the front in a headwind, starts flicking her elbow with absolutely no response from anyone else. 13 seconds from back. Elisa Longo Borghini tried to wind it back together. Cassia attacks Demi and Marlon, looking at each other, playing poker. 15 seconds quickly blows out, and the crowd I was with just erupted with excitement. Demi attacks to get it back. Marlon sticks it and holds her wheel, grabs Cassia before the worst of the try to grab Cassia before the worst of the headwind. Demi forces Marlon forward. Cassia lights more matches and attacks again. I then left the very small remote TV I was watching on the mountain, then went roadside, the crowd going insane for Cassia. Cassia flies through our group. Demi then follows behind at least 40 seconds on the front, unable to shake Marlon off her wheels. 5 kilometers to go. Cassie's still at the head. Vollering attacks again, but they have left it too late, and Cassie gets out to almost 90 seconds. Marlon finally cracks, and Demi tries to limit the damage to Cassia. But Cassia Niewiadoma-Phinney takes the stage, takes the yellow jersey by just 15 seconds ahead of Demi Vollering. Rusa concedes 39 seconds, and a new queen is crowned. Sorry, I'm not sure how I went with that. I was totally clapped out. But essentially, there was a lot of attacks happening at the very end. Cassia went, they couldn't get her, and Marlon and Demi decided to have a conference call about it. And by the time they came to an agreement, Cassia, she was gone, says. No one saw it
Yeah,
coming.
absolutely incredible. I don't think a single fan, maybe apart from, Demi's husband and Marlon's coach,
Yeah.
apart from their close ones, I don't think a single person watched that race and was not rooting for Cassia to really take home that victory. She's won some really big races, but on the other hand, she also barely wins. She hasn't actually won a mountaintop finish in a Grand Tour before. It's been over 7 years since she last won a stage of a stage race. She won the Polish National Road Championships last year, but apart from that, her last win was at the Tour, the overall GC at the Tour 2 years ago. So although she's always up there and she's always aggressive, she's always giving it a shot, like we saw on stage 5. Like, she's always so close, but so far, So I think so many people wanted her to win. And I know you said that a lot of the reason she won, and I agree, it was because Marlon and Demi were so afraid of each other, or more so Demi was quite afraid of Marlon, it seemed, because when she did finally do that, that huge attack near the end, she caught back 30 seconds on Cassia in about 600 meters. So she did, have something left at the end that maybe she could have unleashed a little bit earlier and closed a bit more of that gap. I also think we shouldn't take away anything from Cassia. She looks, at some point, she just looked like the strongest climber out there today.
yeah.
And absolutely amazing. I saw some stats online that were pretty scary. I think one of the, if not the most impressive performance in women's cycling climbing of all time. So yeah, absolutely incredible. 55 minutes. I think nearly 17 k's an hour for over 15k at 8-9%, which is just incredible, especially taking into account they had a huge 20k an hour headwind, and Ventoux is quite an open mountain in the top half. So, yeah, absolutely chapeau.
I think it was probably one of the best climbing performances that we've seen. I think I probably saw the same thing that you saw, Sarah. She did, I think, 5.31 watts per kilo for 55 minutes. And on
55 minutes, that's the big...
At the end of a really hard stage and, 7 stages into a really hard tour.
Exactly. Imagine the kind of deficit you've gone into before that climb. You've done 2,000 meters of climbing and then all of a sudden you're doing that kind of power. It's just mind-boggling. But yeah, I think Demi didn't look super confident, like her usual confident self. I think her looking around at Marlon, it kind of showed a little crack there. And like you said, she brought back 30 seconds in not a huge distance. And I mean, it was at the top and it's really steep, so you can make or break a lot of time there if you're strong enough. But yeah, it was crazy. I think it was one of the best things that I've seen all year. It was just such a great performance, and I think we can't take away. I think everyone underestimated her all the way along, and we've said it a few times. Everyone didn't talk about her. It was the Demi and Marlon show, and Pauline, the Queen of France. All this kind of stuff, and they are stars in their own right. But Kasia was very underrated, and she just came here and boxed on and just showed them what she's made of.
Yeah, I think it says a lot to the preparation around this tour as well. At the end of the day, the tour trumps all other results. And so we look at other results going, well, Cassie was dropped here, Marlon beat her here, she hasn't done this, but that's all a part of the process. It's all a part if you can trust the plan. And it's also just how it comes together as well on the day. I think I love this story about Cassia though, because she is renowned, and Demi even called her out on it when she lost that stage when Demi won on stage 5, was it? She always attacks too early. It's like a running joke around, and that she always attacks too early and she never wins. And I just love that she attacked early, like really early, and there was a nervousness on, oh God, and then she went again and again, and it finally paid off, and she won.
Well, she said in an interview afterwards that she knew that she had to get to or get past Chalet Renard solo.
Yeah.
Because she knew it was just so exposed and there would be a
we
huge
said that.
headwind.
Yeah.
And she said that she knew that she had to kind of go then because essentially what would happen is there's a really strong headwind and the people chasing would want to be on the wheel of the other person, and so that's slowing them down, and that's just shown her strength. She's backed her ability and she's gone, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go as hard as I can, and everyone behind me are going to stuff around wanting to sit on the wheel and be protected. And yeah, Demi and Marlon, you know, chopped off for a little bit, but they were also looking at each other, and I think they made a bit of a mistake there in letting her go and letting her get that gap. You know, Demi looked the other way at Marlon, and Kazi was off. By the time she swung around and had a look, there was a gap. And it's like, what I don't understand is why Demi didn't just go, I need to be glued on her wheel. She just let Marlon do it. And Marlon's cold hard killer. She was just like, not keen.
Nyla knew that she couldn't extend herself really at all. She's a time trialist that she knows her watts, and she was not going to go over that. But Says, you're completely right. Cassia looked incredible on the road when she came past. You could see her expression of just how, like, she had it open full throttle the entire climb. But what did you make of how Demi and Marlon played it?
Yeah, I don't think Marlon did anything too wrong. I mean, she took some turns, but she also played on the fact that even though Demi said it was kind of Marlon's tour to lose, I mean, Demi's like, oh, I've won the tour before, Cassia's won it, Marlon hasn't, it's on her, she's in yellow. I think everyone knew, even today, Demi was the favourite. So Marlon played on that. She did some work, but without, you know, trying to cook herself too badly and risk, completely blowing up. So I don't think Marlon did too much wrong. On one hand, with Demi, it's easy to say, why didn't she just follow Cassia? But maybe today was, you know, lose the battle to win the war. She is a lot more worried about Marlon, I think, or at least before today, she definitely was. So perhaps it was worth the risk. Let Cassia win today, or at least don't focus so much on her. And she really was able to expose Marlon because Marlon did more work than if Cassia wasn't off the front. If Cassia wasn't off the front, Marlon would have just sat on Demi's wheel and done no turns at all. Why would she into that big headwind? So, yeah, I think this way it actually turns out, I mean, I might have to eat my words on Sunday, but turns out not that badly for Demi. She is now down on Cassia, but if she's confident enough that she can bring that back, she's got rid of Marlon, or at least she's, you know, reversed that gap. So maybe if she hadn't let Cassia go and used her in that way, then she wouldn't have been able to drop Marlon today. So on one hand, it's definitely easy to say. I mean, she had so much energy, it seemed, at the end. Why didn't she go earlier? And maybe she just was lacking confidence. But on the other hand, I don't think it's a disaster today. And I still think it's quite likely that we see Demi in yellow on Sunday night, but it's all to play for any one of those top three. And mind you, Elisa Longo Borghini coming in third, who said explicitly yesterday that she didn't care about GC, she didn't care about Ventoux, and look who comes on the podium. So I think that does explain those strange tactics yesterday, how I said, if this is how you're going for a stage, it doesn't really make sense. I think she was still going for GC, perhaps. So a good ride by her to close the gap to Marlon in the end. I really thought those first three were, you know, gone and we wouldn't see the rest of the race again, apart from when they continuously panned back to Pauline 10 minutes down because they love the French. But no, the rest of the top six also had great rides, really, you know, closing that gap. Also, shout out to my teammate Kim Lecourt. You said she got dropped with about 10 people left, but I think it was closer, maybe like 20 people. I was like, oh, that is not a good day. She's going to lose her place in the top 10 for sure. And then suddenly not suddenly, an hour later, we see her cross the line. I think 9th place overall, or 10th place, 6 minutes down now on GC. But yeah, it was 9th on the stage. A really, really well-paced ride. Like, unlike, say, Neve Fisher-Black, who you didn't mention, before she got dropped, she did this awesome killer attack.
Yeah.
But there were so many people, I mean, some of them were doing it for domestic reasons, but some of them were just really not pacing themselves well. And to see Kim know her limit. It was kind of like the way Marlon was riding, but to the extreme. I really respect that she didn't give up mentally, and yeah, to save her place in the top 10 GC, really good ride.
On Kim says I took a video of as well. She was ripping, like she was flying, fully focused. When she came through our section, so she was really trying to grasp it all back as well. But yeah, just some of the other changes. So obviously, just a quick reminder of how now the top 10 looks. Cassia goes in with 15 seconds, as we mentioned, on Demley Bowling, with an unbelievable weekend of racing ahead of us. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. We laughed about, don't know if those bonus seconds will make any difference, on stage 2 or 3, and here we are, 15 seconds. Excuse me. Marlon Russo drops out of the yellow jersey in 3rd. Lisa Longo Borghini still sits in 4th, and Antonia Niedermeyer in the white young riders jersey. She's in 5th, who's Cassia's teammate. Sadrinka Bull, she has gone up 2 places into 6th. Paula Blassie, Paola Blassie has gone up 3 places into 7th. Dominika Voracek dropped 2 into 8th. Isabel Holmgren dropped 2 into 9th, and Kim court-pienaar sits in 10th position. It's an amazing top 10. There's still a lot to play for, particularly, obviously with the win, the podium, and really, it being quite close between 4th and 5th, and then very close between 6th and 10th. That's all just a few seconds that could easily change. And, we are heading now into that part of a Grand Tour where other team tactics don't really make sense, and then you're like, oh, they're trying to protect 6. Like, it's like, why are they doing that? We're starting to head down that road. But what did you think? Says, let's touch on the UAE Inter-Team Cup. You already mentioned Elisa Longo Borghini. Now, we got some criticism that people thought we couldn't pronounce her name. We call her lovingly on the Domestiques podcast Lamborghini.
Like a race car.
She's from Italy.
Exactly.
Hello.
It makes sense to us.
Anyway, she's in 4th position. Her teammate Paola Blassie is in 7th, and Dominika Voracek is in 8th. How's it going over there?
They are winning the team's classification by a lot. I mean, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the team, so all within 15 seconds of each other, which is quite remarkable. But UAE winning by 32 minutes, so I think they have that one in the bag, thanks to having 3 riders in the top 10. But yeah, I saw Elisa Longo Borghini and Paola Blassie really working well together today, swapping off in that group behind Marlon and Demi. They were both very, very clear in their interviews to, say that they really respected each other and they were working well together. They both said that separately. On the other hand, I did feel a bit bad for Dominika Voracek. She had a great ride too, still in the top 10. But you could see that maybe the pressure of the week and being the leader, who's slightly below her 2 teammates, maybe it was getting to her. Also, I think she's struggling a bit in the heat. So
it also made a big difference, if I can interrupt, Says, because if you were by yourself up that climb in the headwind, you were which Dominika was, then you just and just the motivation, like, it just ruins your soul.
You
that
could
climb.
see the finish with like a couple of kilometers to go, and it's so like you can do the calculations.
Yeah.
It's a long time, and it's morale breaking.
Even, well, you already saw, like, as you said, Says, how quickly Demi closed down, 30 seconds. That's because that last K is horrific up there. But sorry, go on, just with the changes on that GC with Dominika.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Elisa said in that angry interview a couple of days ago, like, imagine being Paola and how it feels to read this stuff and then go to the dinner table. But actually, the 2 interviews in a row with Dominika where she's sounded really upset, it made me think it's probably even harder for Dominika when she's not performing as well as she probably hoped and expected to. Then
That's true.
It almost feels like you have the whole weight of the media on you. Like, your lack of performance, I mean, it's still incredible, but she's probably thinking she's not performing as well as she wanted, and that kind of lack of living up to the expectation almost proves all that media frenzy right. Like, they were right, they should have backed Paola over her, and I can imagine it's quite hard to deal with, but still Sunday to come. I mean, a minute here, a minute there. it probably can go either way, and I don't think they'll be too worried about who in UAE is now the GC leader. I think they want a stage win for sure. I think 70 teams are going to have to go for stages now. I mean, there are only 2 stages left, but yeah, I don't really see anyone on the podium apart from those top 3. It's a super tight podium. Yeah, all within 40 seconds with just 2 days to go, which is incredible. But after that, I think teams really need to be like, okay, how can we get a result out of this race if we haven't already? And look at a team like Visma Lease Black, Femke de Vries, Marianne Brunel, and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, all super amazing climbers. But today just was not their day. This week has not been their week. So I think they're probably the biggest losers of the tour so far. Also, of course, we've touched on Trek quite a few times. They've never won a stage of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So they want something out of it, but yeah. And
Not without
also,
trying, though. I think, you can it's hard that we'll never forget we will forget how hard they tried, because you can only remember the results, really. But they've certainly...
We're seeing spreads out there every day.
Let's touch on... I do want to touch on, actually, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Obviously, I was willing her on for the French for today. I was hoping she'd go on a raid and, all of France would be celebrating. I just think... throughout this whole difficult week, because she came in with a lot of confidence, and I think her performance has not only been a shock to everyone, but has mostly been a shock for her and the team, I'm sure. She has carried herself with such poise and grace, and her responses to the media that she's fronted up. Like, people just don't realize, particularly us being Australians, how much media she has to do, particularly with the France TV. They have a live site at every stage that they do media with, and her responses have just been, like very, very impressive, I've always thought. And then obviously something has gone wrong there, because, you cannot have the performance that she did last year and turn up like this at this tour. And I think the respect that she showed the race today in the way, like, she was really trying on that queen. She never completely jammed it in. She kept doing all that she could, and she lost 10 minutes. But when we saw her, when the crowd saw her, obviously French TV never left her side, which I would just want to kick that motorbike over, like how, like, you're going through the worst ride, worst ride of your life.
Like, go away.
Yeah. Worst ride of your life, and French TV has a split screen just on how were you going. But yeah, V, something's gone wrong there with Visma's preparation.
Yeah, I mean, it's either something's gone wrong, or maybe it's just that everyone's got a little bit better and she's stayed the same. I think, we've said that she's been in monk mode. She's probably been up at altitude training really hard. She's probably done 3,000 recce's of the course. She knows how important it is. It's a huge, huge weight on her shoulders that she carries around, the Queen of France. I think, it could be many things that have happened, but it also can be that the others have got 10% better and she's only got 5% better. The other day they were saying that Pauline did the best 10-minute power that she'd ever done in one of the stages where she got dropped. And it's like, well, she's obviously putting out the power that can do it. Maybe it's the heat. Who knows? But you're right. Something's
gone wrong.
Something's happened. Something's gone wrong. And she's been pretty good about it, in front of, all the media and us. You can't really fault her on that, but I'm sure behind the scenes she's incredibly disappointed and probably left wondering a bit, what's happened here.
What do you reckon, Says?
I couldn't agree more with how well she's conducted herself. Yesterday she was, saying to the media how proud she was of her young team for stepping up. She said Sarah Van Dam was so good getting in the breakaway. It's so wonderful to see everyone really learning and developing. Today, she crossed the line. She was, Marianne Brunel was their first finisher, but I think they were both, quite disappointed. But they were really, giving each other hugs. And then when they were told how Cassia won solo, they both just looked over the moon for her. Yesterday, she gave Kim the biggest hug ever. So, yeah, I really respect that. I don't think everyone could do that. And I don't think it's just an act either. She actually looks like she's really taking it well. Like, I'm sure it's disappointing, but yeah, really, really good sportsmanship. But I still question that V. I don't think that everyone could have improved that much more, and she hasn't got a little bit worse. I'm still doubtful about that power meter calibration. I think that maybe I'm sure she trained super, super hard, prepared really well, but sometimes things just, you can try and repeat the same process you did last year that left you in flying form, but nothing can be repeated perfectly. Maybe, you can come back from altitude a little bit too soon or a little bit too late, or you didn't do the heat training well, because if you try and do heat training while doing altitude training, then you might cook yourself, or maybe she did do that and she did cook herself. So yeah, it's just so hard to tell, especially as outsiders when we don't really know anything. Like, we can't really judge her. I'm sure she tried her very, very best, and so did the team. So a disappointing week so far. And yeah, hopefully Voss can get it will go to tomorrow, I'm sure. But I really hope that Voss can redeem it for the team tomorrow. They still have a really good shot with her.
Yeah, she still looked really good up the climb, and obviously got some of the biggest cheers. So good. What a legend. Before we get on tomorrow, big thank you to Black Sheep Cycling. You can get 20% off their range using the code Domestiques, and the best way to support us is also go check out join.cc/Domestiques, where you get 30 days free. Put in your availability and your goal, and they will do the rest for you to reach them. Let's look at what is going to be a gangbusters weekend. Firstly, let's touch on... I keep forgetting about this stage. Like, I'm just like, yeah, we're in, like, Nice is tomorrow. But stage 8...
It is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow, but it's not the Nice stage.
Not the.
We do finish in Nice tomorrow. Are there any sprinters left? I need to mention today, we obviously didn't leave until the last rider came up with the broom wagon behind them, and it was Charlotte Cool at oh god, she couldn't even show any form of response when we were cheering for her. She was just, the team car was right next to her, the broom wagon was up her ass. And she was just fighting for her life up that climb. And is she out of time cut?
She's
by 3 minutes.
She's OTL. Yeah, and it's really sad when we saw her come through our point. She was quite a few minutes off the back, and we thought, is she going to make it? She would have done that climb in just over 2 hours, I think. Which is still faster than what we climbed.
That's crazy, eh? Like, if you look at the times that they did that, almost 16 kilometers, I think, is the official. Like, it's insane, the times that they did.
It's insane, and they're OTL.
Yeah.
Got dropped so early in the stage. Imagine ruling away for 5 hours, 20 minutes or so, and then you miss time cut by 3 minutes. Like, that's so harsh. So, I mean,
and this is her stage.
This was, and we mention it because this is meant to be a sprinter's stage. So obviously it's going to be hard to overlook Weebs, but if we look back to our very original preview, so we're looking at 172 kilometers tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and team. Live broadcasting from end to end. I'll have a little cameo on SBS. Look out for that. Ooh, make sure you're right in and just be like, "Boah, she killed it." But yeah, longest stage. 2 late climbs come near the very end, with a brutal ramp reaching 13.6% inside the final 6 kilometers. That could destroy the plans of the sprinters, of which, when we look at sprinters, Balsamo, obviously Weebs. Balsamo was looking really good today as well. But also, you're probably a sprint on stage 7 of a tour like this is not it's not stage 1. So we were some of us were saying break. Says you got Weebs in it, and you also obviously said Shari Bussat, your teammate. I said Braidwell Puck. You said Kopecky Balsamo. So all good picks for tomorrow. But now that the GC, particularly for those top 2 teams, is so close, Canyon SRAM are going to need their Weet-Bix. because their job just got a whole lot more like red alert. The WhatsApp's gone out to saddle up because we've got 15 seconds to defend, says.
Yeah, well, actually, I had Chiara Consoni. I was just thinking of her as a smoky for tomorrow because an
Yeah.
Italian, I just found out an Italian has never won a stage of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So I was
Wow.
thinking maybe it could be tomorrow. But now that I know Cassia has to defend yellow, I'm scrapping Chiara. Sorry, she is needed on duty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty confident with Weebus. Heart pick. Obviously, my own teammate Shari Basoit, but also Miriam Voss, just so Visma can
Yeah.
walk away with a spring in their step. But I would love to see, also, I'm not on Libalula Jaco, but being an Australian, I really like it when an Aussie team does well. And yeah, we haven't seen too much of them today. Today, probably Ruby's attack through the final town before the climb. That was probably the most I've seen of Jaco, apart from on stage 2 when they helped to chase Marcus down right at the end when we just didn't have any teammates. I think that's the only time I've really noticed them. So I really hope that they can have a good stage tomorrow, just because
with
stage 9 is going to
Ruby
be so
leading
brutal.
out Paternoster, which this should suit Paternoster. She did look good on stage 1 before that crash. So yeah, it's gonna be another very unpredictable stage for tomorrow.
I think it's going to be quite spicy, actually, because the finish when they come into Nice has got quite a few corners in it, and they kind of weave their way through the outskirts of Nice around the side as they drop down to the coast, and then they essentially finish on the promenade. And so they'll have a really nice kind of flat, fast kind of finish into it. So I think whatever happens will happen before they kind of enter that little circuit there, and hopefully it's a bit of a reduced bunch. I think everyone's legs will be feeling very spicy from today's effort, and so I think it's going to be a sprint for the people who have the best legs. And if Lorena can get over the
There's
climb,
still two little sharp, vicious climbs.
There's still
at
quite
the
a
end.
few. Like the first one is 2.6 Ks long. The second one is 6.4 Ks long. They do a sprint. Then they come
It's
in.
sort of all downhill after 80k.
Yeah, but then
So
they come to 2 more.
The
before
stage
they
is
get
sort of
in there.
broken up into 2, that they're climbing for all the first half and then they're descending for the last half until they hit 2 very aggressive pimples just
And
right at the end.
Maybe
With 6K to go, they hit a 16% wall. So it's only a short one, but a wall is a wall. I still think Weebus can get over it, but you can imagine someone like Cedrine. I mean, yes, she's in the top 10 GC, but Marlon, Demi, and
They need a win,
Cassia
though.
must-
Everything,
Yeah.
I think everyone, unless you are going to be on the podium, you have
that's
to
what I
get
mean.
a win.
And you got to remember, there's
Dream
only
to get
9
away.
stages of the tour.
Yeah,
There's only 9 opportunities to
I
win.
know we're hard on teams that don't
We're
win.
so hard on it, but there's only 9 opportunities. And like, we saw them go up that climb a few days ago where they were absolutely going ham and lighting it up. What I'm hoping is we have an exciting stage like that where we've got everyone who can just absolutely lighting it up on that wall as they come into town. It's going to be super exciting.
Well, I need to go pack my bike. It's 9:30 here now. I've got a 6:30 a.m. taxi, and then catching the train over to Nice for tomorrow. I jump in the studio. Says anything else on today, tomorrow? Final
Good luck
comments.
with commentating tomorrow. That's exciting. Glad you're getting the gig. I just think that I love women's racing. I love that this is not a procession into Paris. It's not even into Paris at all. But I just love that there's going to be no love lost at all. And can you imagine? I mean, it wasn't too long ago we had Marlon, Demi, Anna, Lorena, Kopecky all on the same team, and it's just so wonderful to see so many different teams in the fight now. And the crowd today, you guys are in it, so I'm sure you experienced it even more. But even just watching on my laptop, like the commentators were saying, Ventoux was close to car traffic from 8 a.m., which was 8 hours beforehand. Yet all those people had made their way up there by foot or by bike, or had been there for over 8 hours, which is just so cool. Yeah, I'm just loving this race. Yeah, really tough not to be there, but absolutely loving seeing how cool the race is becoming each and every year.
Says that was us. We had to get up there. So the road, from what we understood, the road closed from 12. So we got up there just after 12 and thought, oh, we're not going to be let all the way up. And, you know, the race came through 5 hours later and we had been sitting on the side of the road waiting for 5 hours. But I want to do a couple of shout outs because I think there was quite a few, maybe not surprises, but some interesting finishes today on the result sheet. And I'll start off with Talita de Jong from Human Powered Health. I think it's pretty nice to see a couple of, you know, I'm not going to say second tier teams, but they probably don't have the budget that a lot of the bigger ones have. And she finished with a teammate, Nina Bushman. And that's just, it's crazy. They finished, you know, just outside of top 10. You've got another St. Michelle rider who finished really close there.
Yeah.
And you've got Naomi Rugg who, you know, she's not a super climber. She's a splimer, as we say. And you
But
kind
she
of
was doing all that work on the front, like her own impression.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It's just crazy. And you kind of scroll down the result sheet and I'm proud for them because there's a lot of riders who maybe you wouldn't expect in that kind of top 30, and maybe it doesn't mean too much for, you know, for the general classification and the exciting kind of thing of the race. But these are riders who dedicate their lives to this sport, and they probably don't have the same limelight that all the other big ones get. They don't get in the media and they don't get that attention. So it's really nice to see on a really big stage like this, the Queen stage of the tour, that they can probably have a personal result that they can be really proud of. So that's my little shout out for today.
I have one more thing to add. I just thought it was cool and also shows how tight these teams are. So because Kim LaCourt won yesterday's stage and she'd made a bet with my other teammate Maria Benito that if Kim won a stage, Maria would get a tattoo on her shoulder of any fish that Kim could choose. I don't know why it's a fish, but Kim now has the responsibility of choosing a fish that will be permanently on Maria's body. So I just think, one, cyclists, we are weird. That's the weirdest bet. Like, also, why a fish? I'm still going to ask her about that. Maybe it's like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. That's what Kim did yesterday.
Could be a Pisces. Yeah.
Yeah, but two, it just really shows these riders, everyone gives so much for everyone else, and it's just like the best feeling in the world when it comes to fruition. So whoever does win tomorrow and whoever wins on Sunday, that's the kind of thing they'll remember forever. And so will their whole team.
Well, I actually, being on the mountain and all those riders that you've mentioned, seeing them come through and the celebration, would highly recommend it. But I also did a quick 2 interviews. One with Kate Veronneau, who is the director of women's strategy at Zwift. Zwift has only existed for 10 years. Kate's been there for 9. She's, you know, a standout at this event. This is her Olympics and Christmases all rolled into one every year. And she has been a driving force in so much, even just how colourful the branding is and the strategy behind where the event is going. I also ask her about coverage and what is happening there. And then I also catch up with Loren Rowney, who was on the ground there as well quickly. Loren is a well-known Australian ex-pro. She now lives in Belgium with her family, but she is now a agent for a lot of rising stars, and of course Kim LaCourt, who won yesterday's stage. So I catch up with her. So hang on there. If you've still got time, if you're still with us, I hope you enjoy these interviews from the mountain. Team, here's to a big weekend.
Ooh,
I'll see you in Nice.
I'll see you in Nice too.
I'll see you in Nice.
Maybe not in the same room, but we'll be in Nice.
We'll be in Nice.
I'll watch for you on TV. So I'll see you.
End-to-end coverage, which will be fantastic. But we hope you're having a good weekend.
Not tomorrow, sadly. Tomorrow,
really-
3:30 p.m. here, 11:30 p.m. at home. Tune
Got
in.
it. We really appreciate everyone's support and for listening this week. Bye for now.
I'm here with Kate Veronneau, the Director of Women's Strategy at Zwift. We are here at the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Set the scene for us first, Kate. Here we are.
Oh, here we are. It's the Queen stage. There's a solid wind. We are on one of the key corners, 5K to go from the top of the iconic Mont Ventoux with about 200 of our closest friends across community, industry, and media with a giant cheer squad in partnership with Iris. And we are ready to make some noise for stage 7, the Queen stage with all my queens. Let's go.
Kate, I imagine it feels emotional at times to see how far this event has come. When you look around now and the experience that you have this week, could you have ever fathomed that it would be this big when you pushed so hard for this event?
No. Yeah, and I'd probably get emotional again because it's amazing. I knew this would be successful, but the amount of people that have come out, that have hosted watch parties, that have shared watch guides, that have, just blasted this, amplified it. It's just sensational. And it's just so joyous. There's something about this race. It's the iconic Tour de France, but it looks and feels a little different. The energy on the ground, we're all so freaking happy to be here because it's finally happening and it's gorgeous. It's thrilling. It's a spectacle. We get just treated to the most incredible, unpredictable action every day. And we're all out here celebrating. We're inspired to ride. We're making new friends and connections around the world. The media is all over it because this is what's going on in cycling. There's nothing else this week. And finally, women have that space.
All eyes on La Femmes. Kate, how hard was it though when you knew how successful this would be? How hard was it convincing other decision makers that this is what we needed for the women?
At Zwift, not that hard. Honestly, we have been really committed to the growth and elevation of women's cycling since the beginning, since that first Zwift Academy was just women. It was Canyon SRAM, Zwift Academy. We've recognized that we have a virtual platform, so we have no excuse not to create complete parity across the board when it comes to racing and participation and opportunities to ride bikes. And it's so exciting to see that translate into real life opportunities for women, like the pro contract with Zwift Academy and now with the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. We take big swings at Zwift. We've, in 10 years now, I've been there. We're only 11 years old, but we came into the sport with a kind of energy that says, like, let's try something different. And we have been very successful, and now we're reinvesting in the sport because we see so much opportunity for growth for women. So when we say watch the Femme, it's not just about tune into this race. It just means, watch what happens when you invest in women, when you make more space, when you, just open up the roads, because there's so much joy. There's so much for so many people to gain from this sport. And it's been done one way for a long time. And this race is demonstrating that there's so much room to grow. And that's what we're seeing. And the crowds, especially the women cyclists that have come out all week, riding in from Munich on, a week-long gravel adventure, a rally, it's been beautiful.
And Kate, I've got to ask about the coverage. There's been huge amounts of discussion around coverage, wanting more coverage. You have this incredible, rally cry around Watch the Femme. Where are we going with that? The pressures, the organisers, etc. How is that for Zwift?
Yeah, advocating. And we can do only so much as the title sponsor. We push every year. It has, incrementally increased each year, but we are not happy yet until we have full coverage from start to finish. And what I can do is I can tell people to get loud. I want to make as many fans as possible, so it gets so loud it's impossible to ignore. Because in this day and age, with a sporting event that is this popular, has this many people tuning in, how could you possibly start it halfway through the event? That's like watching just the last set and a half of the French Open. And by the way, we have more viewers than the French Open. So it's absurd. We got the men's tour of Poland's getting full coverage. We're changing minds that have been a certain way for 100 years. I'm happy that things are progressing, but it shows us we have more work to do. So I'm telling everybody, get loud. Let's do it.
Thanks so much, Kate. We're being drowned out by the QOM jerseys that are just being handed out to participants. But just quickly before I let you go, how does today play?
Oh, today is going to be fireworks, absolute fireworks. I mean, the teams are going to be throwing attacks, trying to wear out the GC contenders. But at the end of the day, there's going to be one queen. And Demi's the one to beat.
You've heard it here first from everyone. Zwift is enormous back home in Australia, in New Zealand, in the Southern Hemisphere. Thank you for all you've done for cycling and for always getting us through not just our winters but our summers. We couldn't be more thankful to have Zwift and the coverage during that time. So, Kate, congratulations and enjoy today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Oh, no, I need this. Loren Rowney. Agent to the stars now, and here on the ground as also a journalist. You wear many hats now. Obviously famous Australian cyclist, now been stolen by the Belgians. How has, firstly, La Femmes been the last week?
Oh, amazing. This is my 4th Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, and I first came as a spectator in 2022 with my then 1-year-old child, Harry, my firstborn. And my best friend, Carly Taylor, was working the race with the amazing Kate Veronneau. And I was like, Hannes, we have to see Carly and we have to plan a holiday after. But I want to see this race because it's, from our generation, it's what we dreamed of. And I still think back to that moment when we got to, I believe it was stage 5 before everything kicked off with Annemiek taking the yellow. And just walking around the start then, 5 years ago, seeing the crowds and the people come out for it and the big team buses and everything was sectioned off, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I still get emotional thinking about it. We finally got there. And 5 years later, we're here on Mont Ventoux, one of the most iconic climbs. There's an epic battle that is going to go down today. And just the level that the sport has risen to, or women's sport in general, is just so inspiring for me, for every woman who has loved sport, watched sport, wanted to reach this level. It's just, I think across the board, and having really special people like Coach Jackie is sitting here, who's going to cover the race and reach different audiences. This is what it's about. I feel like we're a community. Anyone who's in women's sport, we're in this together. And we want to see growth. We want to see sustainable growth. We want to bring new people in. It's a privilege to be here.
Oh, well, I think this race stands on the shoulders of yours and so many of your colleagues coming through and pushing for this. But, Loz, how you now wear the hat as well as a rider agent, so you see the sport from a totally different angle. I think, back in the day there was no need for female agents because we had nothing then we were fighting for it, but we couldn't get it. And now you are out there negotiating for the best team at the best price for these athletes. And I think also a lot of fans and riders wouldn't realise that the agent's role doesn't just stop with the negotiation and the contract. You are there for them every day. And also you had a win last night in Kim LaCourt, incredible. Talk me through the different ends of what you do as an agent for the stars and then for those riders who are just trying to break through.
It's interesting. I was speaking to someone about the different types of agents and how I definitely come in from a more holistic approach where maybe because I've been an athlete before, but they're just human beings. So whilst I want the best for them and I want to see them win and succeed and have those good moments, you're an athlete yourself. You know that that's the small percentage of the moments that people get to see. Everything else that goes around it. And I think Kim the court-pienaar is a great example of someone, she's coming to the sport late. She knows she doesn't have that much time. She's a winner, she's a fighter, and coming into the season after last year where she won Liège-Bastogne-Liège, took the yellow jersey here, won a stage here, she had huge ambitions and then just had all these setbacks that were completely out of her control. And I was there in Flanders when she crashed and broke her wrist. And I went to see her and kept it together, but I got really emotional when I saw her family there, because I know how it is to be on the other side, watching this person you love go through this, throw everything at it, and then just have setbacks and get injured. And it's a dangerous sport, as we know. So from that side, I think I can take the really human element, and that makes me good at my job. But from the negotiation side, you have to switch on a completely different part of your brain then, because then it's business. But the biggest part of my job is making sure I put my athlete in the right team. And I really like working with young riders because they're at the start of their career, and it's very much helping them and guiding them along the way. And I always say to them, like, everyone's pathway is completely different. Don't look at the person next to you. Try and focus on you. Trust your village around you. And if you want a long career out of this, you really just have to believe in what the people around you are telling you, and believe in the dreams, and also just to dream big.
Are you positive about how it is for those riders trying to come through for the smaller teams?
It's tough. Look, it's getting really competitive out there, and we've spoken about a lot on the Wheel Talk podcast, which I'm here with this week, that it's not sustainable, the model right now. I think Philip Roodhooft even came out with some comments recently about how you have like the teams with the very high budgets, the middle budgets where Phoenix, De Koninck sort of falls into, and then you've got also the lower budget teams. So yeah, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer in a sense. And it's actually on the UCI to look at the calendar, reconsider it, and think what is a better model to ensure that we have better growth through the different stages in an athlete's career. Because right now there's so much pressure on the under-19s to get out of under-19s, and in the first couple of years already, step up to a pro team level, where I've got athletes who are also juggling school, that are very academic, and you can do both, but it's just that they've invested more time in school than training, and then they fall behind the athletes who've done the opposite just because of these pressures. So I think we could talk for hours about it, but I definitely think we're moving in the right direction in terms of getting more people into the sport, watching the sport. We're inspiring the next generations to just jump on the bike and give it a go. The bike is one of the most wonderful inventions, I believe, not just for sport, but for mobility, everything. Like, it's such a great thing, and I've carried that on. Like, I don't get to ride that much now, but the bike is still a huge part of my life. And I think in general, the sport is moving in the right direction, but a lot has to come from the governing body.
Mate, we could talk for hours and do a whole podcast just on this, but I've got to say, I think there wouldn't be a female rider in the peloton, certainly from the past, that would have wished that you could have been their agent and be advocating for them and not be like throwing them off a cliff saying they can't eat carbs. I think the experience that you have, and I think we're so grateful that you haven't left the sport, and for everything that you do so much behind the scenes now. You should feel so proud of how far the sport's come. You've had a big part in that. So thanks so much, Loz.
Thank you.